It's a Spion Kop, it's Pete Bolster, and it is Christos Nicolau with me. It's all about Liverpool versus Chelsea, the build-up to that one. We're also going to discuss a potential departure of Arne Slot as the manager of Liverpool to another football club. Is there any truth in that? I'm not really sure there is, but we will discuss it regardless. And Alisson Becker could be on his way out to Liverpool, which would be very, very sad to see, but we'll also discuss the credibility of that, Christos. But first of all, just a little bit of an update, which I'm sure you might have seen already now, that the protest won't be happening at Anfield this weekend, and that's because Liverpool have come to an agreement with the supporters board, the Spirit Shankly and the Spion Kop and everyone else who is involved. That involves where there will be a 3% rise for the 26-27 season in line with inflation, which was already announced, but there will be a freeze in season 2, which is the 27-28 season, and then future discussions in future seasons, including a potential commercial deal, which was, I think, was the idea of someone in the Spirit of Shankly, I don't really know, that the 12th man, which is obviously the Liverpool supporters, could be sponsored by a commercial partner. So then therefore, that extra £2 million or extra £5 million or whatever it is in the future could then be sponsored by a commercial partner. So for example, Nike could come along, or Adidas or Carlsberg or whatever it is, and they would sponsor the Liverpool fans. And when the Sky cameras or the TNT cameras and stuff are going on to Liverpool on the You Never Walk Alone and all these type of things, that would be sponsored by a company, which would then solve the problem of working class supporters being priced out of the game and so on, which I think is a fantastic idea in theory, and hopefully that comes off. But first of all, just fantastic for everyone at the Spirit of Shankly. Well done them, the Spion Kop lads in particular, and the supporters board, all three of them in particular, not just one, and everyone else that supported them, every fan, everyone who give out a leaflet and all that. Well done, everyone, because that has solved the problem of the protest, and in the short term at least, the ticket debacle.
It's not the best result that we could have got, but it's one of the best results we could have got. It's a sort of compromise in the middle, and it seems that the power of the fan has prevailed, and it's a lot of the other teams' fans were saying they'll never listen to you. Why even protesting? But this is why we protest, because they do listen, because the power of Liverpool FC and the fans is greater, I'd argue, than any other fan base. And without us, they're just a red club, aren't they? So without us, they can't go forwards. And if they want to be this European giant, an elite football team, they're going to need the 12th man, which is the Liverpool fans.
Absolutely. Important to note as well, Christos, is that they are going to put a young supporters area in the Anfield Road end, again, which is positive news. But I want to push you on the commercial idea, because you didn't know about that, because you've just literally found out now. What are your thoughts about that? Because I think it's a fantastic idea and something that would solve a problem, and potentially not just at Liverpool but across the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd want to see it first to put my proper opinion on it and how it looks, how much influence have they got onto that? Is it like a massive name of their brand showing at the same time as the Kop? If that's the case, I might be a bit apprehensive towards it. If it's something a little bit more subtle, then yes, I'm all for it. But in general, it's an idea to find that extra revenue, and it looks like they're working together with the fans and they listen to the fans to find some sort of solution that doesn't drain the fans' pockets.
Yeah, of course, and it's important to note as well, the prices are too expensive as they are, and that's one of the biggest issues, is that when people think it's just a couple of pounds to add to everyone's pocket, it isn't, because they're already far too expensive, and there are people who've already been priced out of the game, and that's the important thing. But we won't spend too much longer on that, because it's good that we don't have to protest, and you're right, it isn't the best result in the world, but I'd say it was a score draw, and right now Liverpool supporters can win the future battles, can't we? But Arne Slot has been linked with a move away to Ajax. He's 48, Arne Slot now, and he's apparently declined the offer because he thinks at his stage of his career, he doesn't want to manage Ajax, who are definitely the biggest club in Dutch football. And I can see why. I can really see why. Because He's at a Premier League club. He's just won the Premier League. He looks set to qualify for the Champions League. It does feel like a bit of a backwards move, but there is some caveats to that. One is that he's just had the season that he's had. He's had the mental trauma of what he's gone through of losing a footballer last summer and then had to carry the footballers along all the way and then be criticised by us. He's still got his reputation intact if you think about European football, because he's, like I said, he's won the Premier League champion, he's qualified for the Champions League. His family still live in Holland, which we've touched upon on other shows, that he's always flying back. So his family have never moved here. So with all that in mind, maybe going back to someone like Ajax wouldn't have been the worst move, even if it was for a season or two, and then for him to go and get another bigger move. Because I personally don't see his long-term future at Liverpool, and I don't see him going from Liverpool to a Barcelona, for example, or a Bayern Munich. I just don't see it. But if he went back to Ajax and done it again, added to his pedigree, I think his reputation would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think it shows he's got a bit of fight in him. If he's actually rejected the offer, it shows that he believes in what he's trying to do. It shows that he thinks he's better than that now. He's progressed. He's gone up a level, and it looks like he's up for another season with Liverpool. And he's trying to build something, and to leave it midway would almost tarnish his legacy and his reputation. I think if he wants to make it right first, because managers don't want to leave the football club worse than what they found it, do they? So he wants to potentially do something with Liverpool. And in terms of his family living in Holland, I think that would have been ideal for him. But again, it shows that maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's not about just his family, and maybe he is thinking about his career and he does appreciate the job he's got in hand.
His son liked the social media post, and Liverpool fans and football fans in general love all of that, because is there more of a hidden meaning behind it? I don't think they would announce something now anyway, and they would always discredit the source and say it's all a load of nonsense. So I'm just thinking, is there any truth in it? Is it a possibility? I don't personally believe it would tarnish his legacy, because I think all the mitigating circumstances I've already outlined is. And the fact that the recruitment has not fully been in control. It's been Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, and he's had players ball for him. He's at the head coach as the job title, and we've spoke extensively about that and what that means. I just personally think that if he left the football club by mutual consent, or if he left because he was wanting to go to Ajax, Liverpool give him his blessing, and they went and got another manager, I think his reputation is intact. It's not the best. It's not as good as it was 12 months ago. But I think it would be.
Yeah. Another thing I think of is that's a rival of his previous team, isn't it? Feyenoord. So that's a potential thing that maybe that went into his mind, because it's probably the equivalent of, I don't know, managing Liverpool and then going to a competitor like Chelsea or something. So that could have been something, like him growing up in Holland, maybe he feels that rivalry a bit more, knows a bit more about it, and potentially could have ruined his legacy within Holland. So potentially, if he's going to thinking back of going to Holland, maybe he will go back to his first club or to Feyenoord.
Maybe, but I think Ajax is such a big club, and they're more likely to be in the Champions League and more likely to be competitive if it was in the Europa League or so on. I do think it would probably be a good move for him. But I don't know. I don't know his personality enough to say like, well, he would ruin that. I just and again with that caveat, I just think that maybe he's all about fixing his career, and they only get one career. I think he gives off the impression to me that he's probably going to do what he wants to do.
Yeah. And it's like you said, we don't really know what these managers think like, and you always want to sort of legicize them and say, oh, they'd never do that, they'd never do this. But then you think about other managers, like, I don't know, Jose Mourinho managed Chelsea, then went to Man United, Tottenham. So he's done basically half the top six. So that didn't really ruin his legacy, did it? If anything, it just showed that he could do it in different sort of environments. And he was successful, apart from Tottenham, where he was sacked a week before the cup final, which is still a baffling decision.
Yeah, it is bizarre. It's probably why they have found themselves where they are, haven't they? Lost my train of thought, Christos, which is never good, is it? But I was just about to say that the Liverpool journalist Paul Joyce reported recently that if Arne Slot was still in the job, then he would then recruit this member of the backroom staff would change basically, which is a lot different to what Sky Sports have reported and other media outlets that Arne Slot is nailed on for this job for Liverpool next season. He will start the season next season as Liverpool manager, and he is now the bookies' favourite to start as the Liverpool manager for next season. But like I just said, Paul Joyce is when he says it, it's like that's it, it's gospel, and he left the door open with his word, and that to me says a lot more than what Sky and other media outlets are conclusively arguing. But not just that, if you just go off the sentiments of the Liverpool fan base, there's many Liverpool fans who believe he will be the manager next season, but there's many Liverpool fans who just think, no, this is not happening. There's no way he'll be the manager. And after losing 19 games, there's still 3 games to go, so he can still surpass that over the next couple of weeks. Do you think he will be? Do you think there's a possibility he won't be? Do you think it's nailed on like Sky have said? Or do you think the door's open?
My personal opinion is that Arne Slot will be the manager of Liverpool Football Club next season. I say that because I think the owners are going to look at it a bit more financially, and I think their main goal would have been to get Champions League football, which more or less looks secured. And if the owners were Liverpool fans, which I don't think they are, I would have said no. He definitely won't be. I'm thinking of someone like Abramovich who loved Chelsea. He would sack someone for doing what he's done. He'd probably sack him midway through the season. But they're not that kind of owner, and probably for the best, where they've got a bit more patience. I don't think that would happen. But potentially, if it did happen, someone would have to come in, or someone would have to be available that they've had their eyes upon, or they really think can make a change.
You say about financially, and this is where I get lost a little bit in what financial thinking is, because if you sack a manager and bring a new manager in, you have to then bring his players, his backroom staff, and possibly the makeup of the team need to change a little bit. But if you have Arne Slot start on the new season, that means that you're finishing off the job, because this team now is clearly not finished. We're at a point now where you can actually make it go one way or the other way. If you make it go Arne Slot's way, then it would be more problematic. Then it would be more expensive to change. So if you're going to keep him now, one, you'd have to give him a new contract, because the contract talk is still the big elephant in the room, isn't it? There's no contract there. And then secondly, then if he wasn't the right guy, that's an expensive mess to figure out.
Yeah, and it's probably a bit of an ego thing where they've backed him publicly and at the round table interview, and it would make them look a bit like idiots now.
That round interview table was in January, that was early February maybe.
Still, but at that point in the season, it didn't look like Liverpool were going to achieve much. It didn't look like we were on for anything really. I think about what I felt for Liverpool at that point. So it was a brave move, in my opinion, for them to come out and do that interview. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans criticised it and thought it wasn't potentially the right move. But because they've done that, it just shows that they've committed to him. And they wouldn't have done that halfway through the season if they were going to sack him in 2 months' time. That's my opinion, but I could be completely wrong. But from what I've seen from them from the last few years, the last decade really, I just don't think they're going to be that sort of rash and sack him and just bring someone else. If they are going to bring someone else, it'd have to be someone who is, as you said, is not going to rip it up and scratch from start. It's got to be someone very similar who's going to agree to work with the players he's already got and sort of build upon that. If you're going to bring someone that's a completely different style of play, completely different sort of idea of football, then that's potentially going to cost you 4, 5, 6, 700 million to rebuild the whole squad again.
John Henry's just come out in a rare interview and said that he does not accept mediocrity. Now, he wasn't talking about Liverpool, he was talking about the Boston Red Sox, he was talking about Liverpool, he was talking about the whole franchise. Does that wording, that quote, change your opinion at all?
No. I don't think. What does mediocrity look like for him in football? Because I don't know how baseball works or whatever the sport they're involved in, but maybe mediocrity in that type of sport is you got to win it or you're just not elite. In football, to be elite doesn't necessarily mean that you're winning things, does it? I think the Champions League is one of the most prestigious competitions in the world, and just being one of them clubs that is part of it is brilliant for any owner, for any player that you think is elite or going to be elite is always looking for them Champions League clubs, either in the top 5 leagues or going somewhere like a Portugal or a Holland. They're always looking for the Champions League competitors because that's where they want to play.
10 years ago, you just said over the last decade, FSG this, FSG that, but 10 years ago, Liverpool went into a new season, well, it was actually 11 years ago now, went into a new season with the manager who just lost the previous game 6-1 away to Stoke, and it feels very much the same as that. It wasn't just Stoke, there was loads of subpar performances, a very, very poor season. They went into the summer, they backed the manager, they signed a few players, one of them being Christian Benteke, for example, who was very expensive. A few months later, Jurgen Klopp arrives. He throws a lot of those players in the bin, and the rest is history. Do you think that FSG, when we talk about the word mediocrity, do you think that they might have learned the lesson that actually when something changes, when a fish stinks, maybe we get rid of the fish now?
Well, it's going to sound horrible, but I hope so. I hope they've learned their lessons, and being these prestigious businessmen, you think they would, but nothing that is happening right now indicates that's what they've learned their lesson, apart from them not renewing the contract of Arne Slot. So that's the only thing that's lingering in my head, and I'm thinking, well, why have they not renewed this contract? Because it should be renewed, especially now with 3 games to go. What are you waiting for? We've got Champions League football, haven't we, basically? So that's a red flag, and that's maybe the 10% in my head that think, could they actually sort of switch around and go and get someone else?
Possibly, because you've got 3 games to go, and there is an end of season review every season, no matter who the manager is, and they have a little chat and so on. Did the same ownership that made Kenny Dalglish, or Sir Kenny Dalglish should I say, fly all the way to America to sack him. Now, he reached the League Cup final and won it. He reached the FA Cup final, narrowly lost it against Chelsea. We finished 7th, I think, that season. We were very unlucky at home. We scored, there wasn't many goals at home. There wasn't many goals in general. But I remember we was hitting the frame of the goal about 30 times. I remember Luis Suarez hitting it so many times. There was a bit of unluckiness. It wasn't the best season, but at the same time, it was his first full season. To then sack him to bring Brendan Rodgers in shows you how ruthless this ownership can be. Yeah,
potentially, and I'm hoping that they look at the past and maybe how they've behaved and what mistakes they've made. But I just can't see it happening. I think if it would have happened, it would have happened a lot earlier. I don't think they would have stuck with what they have. And I think there is managers out there that are ready to come in that would love to manage Liverpool. And I just think all these reports coming out, there's no, there's not usually smoke without fire. So I think that there is some sort of truth. Even Paul Joyce coming out and saying, if he's not denying it, saying there's a possibility he's still the manager.
Xabi Alonso is obviously the obvious one. Iriola as well at Bournemouth, who has got strong links with Richard Hughes. He employed them for Bournemouth. He's a very good manager, good football. Xabi Alonso, I'll go back to him, he's one of the favourites to take over Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are a basket case in itself, but at the same time, if Liverpool don't move on Xabi Alonso now, and they give Arne Slot the chance that maybe he deserves, because he's a Premier League champion and so on. Sometimes giving someone that they deserve, doing the right thing, doesn't mean it's the right thing for the football club, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if they pass on Xabi Alonso now, and then he becomes the Chelsea manager for the next 3 or 4 years and was hugely successful, that's the sort of the situation and the decision that he needs to think about over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's die if you don't and die if you don't, isn't it? I think you've got to make a decision and you've got to live by that decision, and it could potentially affect the next decade, because I think the most important decision in a football club is the manager, and Jurgen Klopp proved that. Not necessarily being able to bring the best players, not necessarily playing the best football, but it worked for Liverpool and we loved it, and it got us success and it got us being elite. And that was all down, for me, the manager. Not the players, not the owners, not the facilities, but the manager.
On Sunday Supplement this week, the supposedly top journalists were all discussing what is the job description at Anfield. If you're going to sack Slot, what is actually the job description? And one of the comparisons was that Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League at Leicester and then Leicester sacked him. It's very similar at Liverpool. I would argue it's completely not. They're saying that if you win the Premier League and you're going to be sacked, then that means that, like, you know, what's the job description? What you have to do to be a Liverpool manager and a successful Liverpool manager. But I'd always argue it isn't just about winning, is it?
No, I think that the most important thing for me is competing at the highest level. And what is it now? I think it's like 20 points behind the league leaders.
I think we're 18.
Yeah, 18 points. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable for me. You should be competing at the very highest point of the table. At least trying to get further in the cup competitions. Trying to win something and giving some belief, but also you need to have a clear identity. I think about Tottenham now. It's only been, 2, 3, 4 weeks maximum, and the fans are already talking about seeing a clear identity of football. The results have improved. They've got a draw and a win. So already they're just talking about a style of play and a style of football that they've identified from De Zerbi coming in and changing the football club. How are we 2 years in with Arne Slot and still not having an identity, still not having a style of play that Liverpool fans can say, right, that's what we do, that's what we do, that's how we score a goal, that's how we defend?
I'd go one further, Christos, and I'd tell you that it's the emotional connection as well, the understanding of what this football club is and that connection with the fans. And I think that just isn't quite right. But the also is one that I've got a huge criticism of Arne Slot, is that I don't just think you can win every now and again. I think when things go wrong, it's your crisis management. Can you manage a football club in a crisis? Last season, everything was fantastic. Mohamed Salah was Diego Maradona on the right-hand side. That is very easy to manage to a certain extent. But when the chips are down and when you need to do something to really grab the team by the scruff of the neck, to do something and pull us out of the ship, basically, I really criticise this manager because I think the crisis management is really poor. Liverpool have been in free fall. Liverpool have lost so many games this season. They've been bad when they've been good, and that to me is where it's not very good. It's not really acceptable. But to compile more misery on you, Christos, it came out, I've seen today, reports that Alisson Becker has agreed terms with Juventus, which, when you look at it, it's the time of the year that they do agree terms. It sounds plausible. It makes sense for him. He's probably had enough of the English weather, going and living that lovely Italian climate. He's lived in Italy before. The manager of Juventus was his manager at Roma. It all makes sense. It's a very religious country as well. I mean, maybe we shouldn't be talking about religion, but he is very religious. He's very devoted. He's a very devoted Christian. And also, when you look at the Liverpool dressing room, which I am going to allude to now, is that all his mates are gone, or certainly going, and that the experience there is detrimental to Liverpool Football Club. But the style of football that he plays from the back and just as goalkeeping ability is really, really underwhelming for us, that he might be leaving the football club, and really not good news.
No, it's a disaster. I would say. I wouldn't say it's not good news. I would say it's an absolute disaster in my eyes, only because of the magnitude of the player that he is. I think one of the two players that came into Liverpool Football Club and made us what we are today is Alisson and Virgil van Dijk. And I think after them two players came in, because we had the attacking talent and the midfield and everything apart from that, when them two came in, everything gelled and we looked like an elite football team. And the only one that's going to be left from that team now really is Virgil. You've got Mohamed Salah leaving, you've got Robertson leaving, Alisson, who I could say is more important than a lot of the other players, because a lot of times he saved us in big moments and he saves things that you don't expect him to save. He's the best keeper in one-on-one situations in the world, and maybe only Neuer can sort of come close to him back in his prime to what he's able to do. I can't see how you replace him. I can't see how you replace Mohamed Salah, and I can't see how you replace Andy Robertson all in one season while the rest of the team are in crisis.
I don't think you can replace the experience and that leadership and the fact that we've spoke about standards this week and making sure that the standards are there. I don't think you can do that, but you can argue Kirk has already replaced Robertson. Mohamed Salah, you can't get another Mohamed Salah. You're absolutely right. But the way Liverpool are going to play, it's slightly different. I think maybe you can go, if you win and got Diamande, for example, I think that would be a good sign. But the goalkeeper to me is really, really concerning, because the number 2 goalkeeper, who I think will be the number 1, I mean, it's quite obvious, isn't it? He signed 2 years ago. You would probably predict that Alisson Becker was going to leave this summer.
Yeah, I just think that what I wanted to say is, like, in terms of looking forward for next season, who is your bankers who you think is going to be starting and you're fully confident that they're going to be elite next season? Apart from Virgil van Dijk, I can't see anyone in that squad that I'm saying he will be elite next season. And I think there's too many positions where we're relying on luck or something to work for us. And if it doesn't, there's too many positions where they're either poor, not good enough, or we haven't even got the player through the door yet. That's what I'm trying to say. There's too many moving parts, and we're not just replacing them 3. We've got potentially a whole midfield to replace. We've got different types of centre-backs coming in. We've got different types of wingers coming in for Salah. Ekitikis won't be back to the first half of the season. We still need to see how we're going to gel Isak in the team. So I may be catastrophizing a little bit here, but it just feels a lot to me for where we are now for us to be competing at the highest level.
No, I agree, but that's why I also, and I won't go back down a rabbit hole, but this is why I always think it's such an important moment that if Arne Slot's the right man, fair enough, go and give him a new contract and prove us wrong and you know, back the manager, and we'll all back the manager, we'll all go down that route. But it's also an important moment that if you're not quite sure, then maybe bring in another manager, because there's a lot of moving parts, like you've just said. But we'll just stick on the goalkeeper for a second, because Mohamed Ashwili's come in. You said Alisson Becker saves things that he's not supposed to save. I think the one criticism of Mohamed Ashwili, other than his kicking ability, is he doesn't save things that you don't expect. He probably saves what you think you should save, and the ball goes in the net more often than not when it should, really. So it's then you're hard to criticise him. We haven't seen enough body of evidence, because he hasn't played an awful lot of games, and he's recently just got injured. He looks like he's going to miss Saturday as well. So that's what you've got, more of an ordinary goalkeeper. He might be a good goalkeeper, but he's not elite, he's not exceptional. But his kicking ability is a real concern for me, because I don't know how we're supposed to play out the back or have that extra body. I've seen Brentford the other night, and I was watching them, and what they did was they had the centre back split, and Kelleher was going in as the centre half to play a back 3 at times in possession. Mohamed Ashwili's not doing that.
No, it is really worrying, because I don't think he's capable of doing that, and I don't think at this point in his career you're just going to coach that into him and show him how to do it. You're either able to do that, and you coach how to do it through the academies and through a young age, or you're just not that type of sort of keeper. You're either a rush keeper or just a classic sort of shot stopper, and he's just a shot stopper, isn't he? He's big, he is sometimes commanding, and that's all he will be. And I think if you look at the top teams in the world, one of the signings they always go for is the elite sort of goalkeeper. Liverpool going for Alisson, Real Madrid going for Courtois, Manchester City going for Donnarumma, PSG having Donnarumma and winning the Champions League. So there's always this massive keeper. Bayern Munich having, Neuer, and I think you have to have that elite.
I'm not sure Donnarumma is as good as what people say, though, and he doesn't play out with his feet out. He's not that great, but I think Mohammed is probably a little less, like you've just said. The good news is, because we can go down a rabbit hole of being miserable, the good news is that we play Chelsea this week. And if there's anyone that makes Liverpool look good now, it is actually them. They are in shocking form and they're on the third manager of the season.
Yeah, I think it's one of them games where you're probably playing them at the best sort of time in the season. They've got an interim manager in. They're probably low in confidence. I think they've lost 6 on the bounce in the Premier League, managed to scrape through Leeds in the Cup, and I think they're vulnerable. I think what did Jamie Carragher call it? The billion pound bottle jobs. So yeah, if people think we've spent money, look at them and what they've done. They've got about 400 centre backs just waiting to play. So yeah, that's a team that's just a massive box of frogs. You don't know what's going on with that club. I think since Abramovich left, they're a shadow of themselves and they're nowhere near at the level they've expected themselves. I think what we need to do now is go and win the game, go and put a convincing performance on, because they're weak. We can smell the bloods and we need that sort of bounce back. If you go and win that game, potentially, that's all you need to do, and then you can relax for the rest of the season, because we need 4 points, but arguably, do we even need 4 points?
I think the teams around us, I'm more in the case that Liverpool might not win another game this season and still qualify for Champions League. I mean, it's become that easy, basically, and it shows you the standard of the Premier League is not quite where we expect it to be. And obviously, other teams have got other aspirations, like Aston Villa are currently 1-0 down in the Europa League semi-final against Forest. Everyone's assuming Aston Villa are going to go and win that. Forest are a tricky side, and they haven't half picked up form, and they're all leading. So, you know, they're a counter-second side. So I think it's no easy feat, and Villa are distracted, of course they are, but I just think against I wouldn't be relaxing me. I think you're right. I think this Liverpool team are going to relax, and they're not going to play for much, but I want to go and see them put some performances in. It's probably too much to ask for, if I'm honest. At the time of recording, Isak hasn't trained. Arne Slot wanted the back for Chelsea, but he still hasn't trained. Kanate's been absent from training. Salah's obviously missing. Alisson Becker is still absent, and Mohamed really also hasn't trained at the time of recording. With all that in mind, there's a lot of footballers missing, and there seems to be a bit of a crisis going on now. Well, it is a crisis. You can't just say a bit of a crisis. It is. How do you see this? Even if Chelsea is so bad,
yeah.
How do you see this going on? That there was something that you were saying before, actually, which triggered me. There was a couple of years ago at Anfield, and I think I watched the worst game of football in a long time, and it was Liverpool versus Chelsea, and it was a lunchtime kickoff. That's what triggered me. I thought, it's a lunchtime kickoff. It was a Saturday in I can't even remember. It was in October time or January time, whatever. People, if you watching, they'll know because it was that crap. It was, honestly, it was January. I remember it being January. And I don't know if it was 0-0 or 1-1 or something. And what was that player for Chelsea? That you got banned?
Mudryk.
Yeah, Mudryk.
Mikhailo Mudryk.
I think he made his debut, and I remember watching him thinking, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. I know which game you're on about now. Yeah.
But he actually was. That summed up his career. That was the best day he ever played, because he didn't really score.
Came on off the bench, did he? I think he came on off the bench.
But other than that, it was just absolute garbage football, and I do worry we're going to see that against Saturday.
Yeah, I think if you look back at the Man United game, they managed to beat us with their strongest sort of 11 and our worst possible 11 we could have put out there. No keeper, no right back, no striker.
Fair choice keeper as well.
No right winger. And that's against the third sort of place team in the Premier League who've been going on about how great they are. Now, if we nearly beat them, we can definitely beat this Chelsea side. They are vulnerable. They haven't got a manager. They haven't got any leadership. Their head's gone. They know they're not going to get Champions League football. The only thing they can hope for is getting some sort of qualification through the cup. So that's probably where they're aiming at and where they're thinking that's our route into Europe. Champions League is done for them unless there's a miracle in which they finish 6th. Aston Villa wins the Europa League and they get through in that way. But that's a massive if, and they still need to get to 6th. So I think for us, is try and find a way to play. Definitely don't play the same way we played against Man United. Just try and just disrupt their play. Just go there, stick with the game plan, and try and be a bit smart about the way you're going to go about it. They're very similar to us in terms of they create overloads in the middle and they've got runners on the left and on the right. And let's give it to them. They have got quality players, but potentially too young, and a lot of them are not experienced enough, so they're very naive in points of the game. So I think if you just put a smart game plan out, you should be able to get a result. And even if you draw, just don't lose again. That would be absolutely embarrassing to lose to them lot.
Florian Wirtz has had a lot of criticism this season by the media, by some sections of Liverpool supporters, and even me more recently. But if Cole Palmer wasn't English, do you think he would have been given a different treatment this season? Because he has been shocking.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's that English sort of price tag that you get when you're English. You just put 40-50 million on top of you and everyone thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread. I just think Cole Palmer had a great season. Was it 2 seasons ago? Maybe
I think it was 2 seasons ago. He was great, and he was all right last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it's just he's not come up to what we all thought he could have been. And yeah, I think it's just him being English. Everyone loves him. It's like Declan Rice. Everyone thinks he's better than Steven Gerrard now, which is mental to say out loud. But I just think English players do get privilege, do get a sort of pat on the back. But it can work against you, like the types of your Jack Grealishes, because you are in the spotlight a bit more as well.
Yeah, quite possibly. Team then, I'm going to go Freddie Woodman in goal, which I didn't expect to be saying again. But Freddie Woodman will probably go in goal. I do suspect Konate will be back, but he might not be.
Yeah.
Because at the time of recording, he's not trained. So give me a back four.
Yeah, so you're going to go Konate, Van Dijk. I would go with Kirkez, because Robertson didn't have the best game, did he, against Man United? I think Kirkez needs to have a little run. And considering Robertson is leaving now, I think give him a bit of a run out. Right back, I would like to see Gomez. And I think I would like to see a bit what you were saying last week, Peter, a bit of a 4-5-1 sort of formation. So the 3 in the middle, you've got McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. I would like to see Rio and Gomor on the left, and maybe Frimpong on the right.
I don't know.
And then Gakpo in the middle, up front.
Gakpo, you might have to play Frimpong. And
I just want to see who else does that job. Maybe, I don't know, Curtis Jones can do that job a little bit, maybe.
No,
but
he's got
we
the
want pace. We want penetrating pace, and no one
he's
in that
done
squad.
Absolutely nothing of it. His quality at the moment is so poor, Jeremy Frimpong.
I'm just thinking, if he can just make the right runs and just create a bit of chaos and create space for everyone else, that should be enough. I don't want him to take the ball and get past 5 men, but just being there and being quick and dragging players with them, that might just be enough for Liverpool to find some space.
Quite possibly. Cody Gakpo, as a reporter, he's going to be sticking around this summer because Liverpool like to see where he can play across the forward line, basically, which has just triggered me because you said he'll be playing centre forward. I'm not really sure he can play centre forward, if I'm honest. He's done a job there, and I think if you're going to play him there, then you need some absolutely quick wingers, and that's why you've got to play Rio and Gomorrah. But he's barely played for weeks now, you know, since his Fulham goal. Yeah. That wonderful, wonderful goal that we bigged him up for and said, oh, come on, he's going to go and do it in the derby, he's going to come do this, he's going to do that. I think he's played 22 minutes against PSG in over 2 legs. He's played for 15 minutes or 10 minutes against Everton, and then no minutes. So do you really think he's going to start?
I don't think we've got many options out there.
We didn't have any options against Man United.
Yeah, I just think he's been one of our better players, one of the players that I'll let go the sort of asking Casemiro for the shirt after the game, but really he was one of the better performing players, one of the better running players, the more determined players, trying to make something happen. Didn't really do nothing, but he was trying. And I think that's what I want to see now, a bit of effort and a bit of players earning their place, not based on goals, not based on flicks, not based on looking good, but trying, putting a run out. And I think that should be the benchmark for Liverpool.
Score?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 5-0.
5-0 to Chelsea.
We haven't had a good big game, have we, for a long time? I think Newcastle was the game, wasn't it, when we won 4-0? I just think this team's they haven't got the legs in the sense that, like I've said, they've not got legs full stop, but, you know, they're literally missing players through injury, and we've barely got an attack, so it won't be, I think, I'm going to go score draw. We started off by saying about the ticket prices, it would be a score draw. I'm going to say a score draw for this one as well. And Liverpool will just fizzle out the rest of the season. But we will see. Let's hope we do win. It's 12:30, so you want to be watching a good, decent game at that time, because it sort of kills the weekend then, doesn't it? But if you're still watching, subscribe, because it's been a long time, hasn't it? It's about 40 minutes now. So, I mean, you must like us if you're still here. So make sure you do subscribe. It has been Pete Bolster, it has been Christos Nicolau, it has been the Spion Kop. Come on the Reds.